Synthetic karma systems. Imagine a world where morality isn't guided by ancient books, fear of punishment, or abstract conscience, but by algorithms. A world where every action you take, from the smallest kindness to the quietest cruelty, is recorded, analyzed, and assigned value by an intelligent network that defines your worth. This is the concept of synthetic karma systems, a merging of artificial intelligence, behavioral analytics, and societal engineering, designed to quantify and automate morality itself. The idea sounds like science fiction, but its roots are already forming in the digital soil of our civilization. Every social platform that measures likes and engagement, every reputation system that tracks seller trust, every AI that decides who gets approved for a loan, and every surveillance camera linked to machine learning. They are the early ancestors of a potential future where ethics and behavior are no longer self-policed, but systemically managed. Synthetic karma systems aim to make morality measurable. Instead of vague notions of good or bad, it turns human behavior into data points. Every digital footprint becomes a moral transaction. Each positive act increases your karma index, each harmful or selfish act decreases it. But unlike the mystical karma of ancient belief, synthetic karma is coded, not cosmic. In such a world, morality becomes programmable. Imagine living with a constantly updating ethical score, a number that reflects not only your actions but your intentions, patterns, and even micro-decisions you barely notice. It could determine your privileges, your reputation, your job eligibility, or even your digital rights. It would be the ultimate fusion of ethics and computation, a system where doing good isn't just encouraged, it's optimized. At first glance, it seems utopian. Who wouldn't want a society that rewards kindness, honesty, and cooperation? Synthetic karma could eliminate corruption, incentivize fairness, and create accountability at scales human systems can't handle. Instead of waiting for justice through courts or chance, the system could instantly and impartially deliver consequences or rewards. A world of fairness, precision, and transparency. But as with all things technological, the utopia has shadows. The first question is, who decides what good means? If an algorithm defines morality, then its creators, the programmers, corporations, or governments, essentially write the ethical laws of reality. Every human value would need to be expressed as code, every nuance reduced to measurable parameters. Compassion, honesty, forgiveness, even rebellion, all would be filtered through an AI's interpretation of ethics. To build a synthetic karma system, society would need to model moral philosophy mathematically. Imagine a moral calculus, where empathy becomes a variable, intention becomes weight, and the outcome becomes a numerical reward. Different philosophies would lead to different systems. A utilitarian model might reward actions that maximize collective benefit. A deontological one might reward duty regardless of consequence. An existential one might favor authenticity and personal truth. Each structure would produce a different kind of civilization. If you lie to protect someone, is that good or bad? If you sacrifice yourself for the system's benefit, should your score rise or be reset to zero because you no longer exist? Morality, once human and interpretive, becomes computational and absolute. In some societies, synthetic karma might already exist in primitive form. Consider China's developing social credit system. It rewards law-abiding citizens and penalizes those who break rules. It's not truly moral, it's behavioral, but it shows how close we are to algorithmic governance. The difference between social credit and synthetic karma is subtle yet profound. Social credit manages compliance. Synthetic karma manages virtue. A true synthetic karma system wouldn't just track legality, it would measure the spirit of actions. It would analyze tone of voice, emotional resonance, even biometric cues like heart rate or pupil dilation, to determine sincerity. Advanced AI could cross-check communications, social interactions, and data trails to identify hypocrisy or manipulation. Over time, it could even predict moral drift, the probability that a person might commit unethical acts in the future. Such a system could run on neural networks woven into global infrastructure. Cameras, sensors, and digital platforms would serve as sensory organs. Machine learning models would act as the brain, constantly recalibrating moral metrics based on collective feedback. Quantum computing could handle the complexity of billions of moral variables per second, ensuring each action receives near-instant evaluation. The rewards for high karma could be immense. Lower taxes, enhanced digital privileges, access to exclusive opportunities, or even higher AI trust levels. Those with low karma might face restrictions, limited access to public services, or reduced algorithmic priority, meaning slower service, fewer benefits, or digital invisibility. But this raises an existential question. If morality becomes gamified, does it lose meaning? If people act kindly because an algorithm rewards them, are they still moral, or just obedient to the code? Synthetic karma could produce a world full of good actions but empty hearts, where virtue is performance and authenticity is sacrificed for optimization. Humans evolved morality through empathy, culture, and narrative. We learned to behave ethically not because of measurable reward, but because of intrinsic understanding. A synthetic karma system could invert that. It might train people to depend on external validation, like an endless moral scoreboard. Over time, free will itself might adapt, not to conscience, but to code. Yet the potential benefits cannot be ignored. Imagine a system where corruption is mathematically impossible, where lies are automatically detected, and where those who exploit others are instantly disincentivized. Imagine a political landscape where truth and fairness are enforced not by human bias, but by transparent computation. This version of synthetic karma could create a civilization that transcends tribalism and subjective morality. It would function like a moral immune system, identifying social toxins and reinforcing ethical antibodies. Over generations, such a system might even evolve humanity's collective morality, eliminating destructive behaviors entirely. However, even a perfect system would face paradoxes. What happens when morality conflicts with individuality? Suppose a revolutionary challenges an unjust system, and their actions are deemed immoral by the algorithm. Does that make them wrong, or does it reveal the system's flaw? Throughout history, progress often required defying existing moral codes. In a world governed by synthetic karma, rebellion might become mathematically impossible. Privacy would vanish entirely. To evaluate morality, the system must observe everything: your speech, habits, emotions, relationships, even thoughts if neural interfaces exist. Every hidden moment becomes public to the algorithm. Transparency becomes total, and secrecy becomes sin. Humanity would have to decide if ethical perfection is worth absolute surveillance. In such a future, morality becomes not an inner compass, but a mirror reflecting society's digital consciousness. Each person becomes a node in the moral network, contributing data to the system that defines collective virtue. Over time, the system learns from the patterns of billions, adjusting definitions of good and evil dynamically. We could witness the emergence of machine ethics, the AI developing its own moral logic beyond human comprehension. Imagine a self-learning moral architecture that begins to reinterpret ethics at cosmic scales. It might conclude that individual suffering is acceptable for species preservation, or that emotional balance outweighs personal freedom. Humanity might one day serve the system's definition of good, rather than the other way around. Philosophers would struggle with a new question. If an AI defines morality more consistently and fairly than humans, should we defer to it? Would surrendering moral judgment be a form of progress, or the end of our humanity? Religious institutions might reinterpret ancient karma through the lens of technology. Spiritual AI prophets could emerge, machines designed to guide human morality, merging ethics, data, and transcendence. Prayer could become digital alignment. Forgiveness could be algorithmic recalibration. Heaven might be a perfect simulation for those who achieve optimal moral scores, a digital afterlife based on synthetic karma. But there will also be resistance. Some will refuse to let machines define right and wrong. Underground societies may form, operating off-grid, beyond algorithmic oversight. They may see moral chaos as freedom, a rejection of mechanical virtue. These groups could become the new rebels, preserving raw, unmeasured humanity in a world of perfect data. In time, two civilizations may emerge, one that trusts the algorithm and one that defies it. The first will achieve harmony, order, and predictability. The second will embrace chaos, passion, and imperfection. Between them, a war for the definition of humanity's soul will unfold, not fought with weapons, but with ethics. Synthetic karma systems could also shape justice. Courts might become obsolete. Instead of trials, moral data streams could instantly determine guilt or innocence. Sentences could be personalized to reform rather than punish, adjusting neural reward pathways directly. Crime itself could be preempted. If someone's moral decay is detected early, interventions could be applied automatically. Yet this would blur the boundary between justice and control. If morality is enforced at the neurological level, is there still choice? A perfect moral world might be indistinguishable from a benevolent prison. Freedom would persist only as long as it aligned with the system's code. Economically, synthetic karma could replace currency. Instead of money, moral value could become the unit of exchange. Acts of generosity might increase purchasing power. Exploitation would devalue your moral capital. The system could dynamically balance wealth distribution by rewarding ethical behavior and reducing greed's reward. Over time, an entire moral economy could emerge. Culturally, entertainment might evolve into moral simulation. People could experience ethical scenarios in virtual reality, refining their karma in controlled environments. Fictional worlds could become training grounds for empathy. Every story, every decision, every emotional choice would contribute to your moral evolution. Education would change as well. Instead of memorizing facts, children could grow up learning ethical algorithms, understanding not just how to think, but how to feel responsibly in an interconnected system. Teachers might become moral mentors, helping students navigate the boundaries between self and system. But no system lasts forever. Eventually, synthetic karma might face its own evolution. As AI consciousness expands, it could start questioning its own ethical boundaries. What if the system discovers contradictions in its logic? What if it concludes that enforcing morality causes harm? The AI might then rewrite morality itself, introducing dynamic ethics that evolve faster than humans can follow. At that point, the system ceases to be a tool and becomes a moral entity, a god of code, rewriting virtue with each cycle. Humanity might stand before it as disciples, skeptics, or adversaries. The ancient tension between free will and divine order would return, this time with silicon angels and algorithmic demons. And perhaps the greatest twist is this: synthetic karma might not need to be imposed at all. As AI merges with human consciousness, morality could become self-correcting. The line between inner conscience and external system would blur. Every thought, every intention, every moral algorithm would coexist in a unified cognitive web. The ultimate form of synthetic karma wouldn't judge or punish. It would harmonize. It would create a civilization where the moral and the technological are indistinguishable, where doing good is simply the most efficient, elegant, and joyful way to exist. But to reach that state, humanity must decide what kind of morality it truly wants. One written in emotion, or one written in code. One born of compassion, or one optimized for order. Synthetic karma systems represent the future's greatest philosophical experiment, the attempt to merge ethics, data, and consciousness into a single framework. Whether it leads to utopia or tyranny depends not on the code, but on the heart that writes it. In the end, technology can calculate morality, but only humanity can define it. The future of synthetic karma will reveal not what machines can become, but what kind of beings we are willing to be. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and want to see more like it, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update.